world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is the start of a new reading vlog. This will probably last until the end of May because today is May 20th and I think I'm just gonna do this for the next 2 weeks and try to wrap up as many books as I can before the end of the month. And then in terms of what I'm currently focusing on, I am reading, again, a distribution, but the 3 that I'm really focused on right now are one from the library, which is Emily Wilde, Map of the Otherlands, which is book 2 in the Emily Wilde trilogy. The new book that I'm reading is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. I restarted this one last night and I got almost halfway through it. So I will be making another massive chunk off of this one today. And then the one that I'm reading that is old TBR, so I bought this one last year or the year before, is this short story collection by Ling Ma called Bliss Montage. Ling Ma also wrote Severance, which I also have over there. So once I'm done reading this one, I would like to pick up Severance. And I've read the first 2 short stories so far. It's about 50 pages, and I loved both of them. They both deal with domestic violence. The first short story is about living in a house with her current husband and her 100 previous boyfriends, even though you're only really introduced to a couple of them. And that one didn't really feel like it had a ton of content to it, but the second story includes one of the boyfriends that she mentioned in the first short story and really goes into like more in depth of what her relationship was like with that person. And I just really enjoyed it. So I am very much having a great time with this one. These are the 2 that I am currently reading. I would love it if I could get super close to finishing this one tonight. And then if I could, my plan is to read at least one more short story from here. Let me see how many short stories are in this collection. I also want to see if there are any new books from this author coming out or that have come out. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more short stories for this one. So hopefully I can read at least 1 or 2 more today and make progress on these 2 and get them read. And in terms of like the rest of the books that I would like to read for May, I filmed a video that was like my end of May reading plans and it's edited and all of that, but I don't know if I actually want to post that video. I'm just feeling very like flippy floppy wishy-washy right now, where I'm feeling a little bit out of control, a little bit anxious, a little bit like I can't decide what I want to do with myself. So I keep bouncing between like YouTube video, another YouTube video. I have like 10 tabs open. I've started like 17 books and I think it's just indicative of like feeling a little bit like in between right now because we're also waiting to get a lot of news about what work is going to look like in the next couple weeks, next couple months. And so being in this like limbo period is also really shitty and uncomfortable. So just trying to like slow down, take it easy. I tried reading outside earlier, but there's a ton of people outside and my dog is having a really anxious day. She's a rescue dog and she's very reactive. And some days she has really, really good days and some days she just has really bad days. And today was just a really bad day. And so my anxiety was like feeding into hers and hers was feeding into mine, where anytime I tried to sit outside, she would just lose it in the house, like howling and crying and barking. And like at one point it sounded like she screamed. And I was like, what is happening right now? So that just made me more anxious. So I just came in the house and I was like, you know what? Fine. We're just going to make a bubble. So I closed my office window. I put the blinds down. I shut my office door. She laid down and is currently sleeping, so I think she needed a break too. I have myself in this bubble. I do need to open my window back up though, because I sat here and I painted my nails and I watched old Jen Campbell vlogs from Christmas and I just like let myself be in this like protective space where all of my input was very structured and deliberate, and that helped calm my anxiety. I think it helped calm hers. It just, when you have bad anxiety, it sucks how fast it can feel kind of out of control. And I don't take any like in the moment medications for it because 99% of the time I am fine and I don't need any. I have plenty of coping mechanisms. I've been mentally ill my whole life, so it's fine. But yeah, I just needed that time to just like sit here and be quiet and let Jen talk to me and then have like her Christmas vibes. And yeah, anyway, that was a really long rambling thingy. But I have a ton of books that I would love to finish for the end of the month. I also then may have purchased 13 books since I last did a book haul. Nope, that's not even true. I purchased more than that. So my next book haul will be probably at the end of May into June once this next batch of books gets here. 12 of them are themed and one of them is not. One is just a series that I want to start, and then 12 are themed for a summer project that I'm going to be doing on my channel, which I'm pretty excited about. And it's not going to be a like, you know, this is all I'm reading, because, you know, we're 5 months into the year and I finished 40 books so far, which is a lot for probably the average person, pretty mid for like the really aggressive quick readers. But when I looked back through the months, you can see where I had like dips and dives and then really successful months in reading. So let me actually pull it up and I can tell you guys how many books I have finished each month, because I think that's also indicative of like where my brain is at when I really need to escape from the world. You can tell. So let me scroll down. I have a couple different Google Docs that I keep track of things for reading. So in January, I finished 5 books. In February, I only read 1 book. In March, I read 3 books. In April, I read 22 books. And so far in May, I have read 11. So that number, if you add it up, does not equal 40. It equals 42, I believe, because I also wrote down in May and April the books that I DNF'd. And so far, I have also unhauled another book this morning, which I think I already took downstairs, but it's Consumed by A.J. Barker, which is a nonfiction about sustainability and climate change and all of that. I read the first like 30 pages of it this morning, and it's kind of like half memoir, half kind of like self-help, fixing yourself type book. But I didn't realize when I bought it that it was primarily going to be focused on the fashion industry and fast fashion. And I don't really buy clothes that often. Like the most recent things that I purchased was like, I needed new pairs of leggings for running and I wear them out. Like that's why I had to buy new ones, because the ones that I bought that I've been running in for years finally ripped. And so I replaced those, and then like we went on vacation and I got a t-shirt. That's the extent of my like clothes buying. I don't really buy clothes. Just felt like it wasn't super going to be relevant for me. I was looking for more of like a book on plastic use and microplastics and stuff. And so I think Consumed is a really valuable book and is really interesting. It was interesting reading about A.J. Barker's experience being a Black woman that was raised in Virginia but got into fashion industry and lives in London. It was very fascinating reading that experience and learning more about the fashion industry, but it's just not really what I was hoping for. So I did unhaul that one this morning. And then the other ones that I have DNF'd were Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. It's a translated kind of like weird horror, but not really horror. I don't even know how you describe it, but I think I talked about it in a previous video, where the premise sounds so fascinating. So it's about this small village in Mexico where the village witch ends up murdered and a group of boys are out, I don't know what they're doing, playing in the mud or something, and they come across her body. And then each chapter is from the perspective of different people in the village, and all of them are unreliable narrators, and the whole time you're just trying to figure out what happened to the witch. And that sounds great in theory until I started reading it, and there are no paragraph breaks. There's hardly any sentences. It's mostly run-on sentences, and it is incredibly violent and incredibly graphic. Like there's not a single child that isn't abused. There's not a single woman that isn't assaulted. Like, no, just not for me. So after struggling through about 30 pages of that, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not going to force myself to read this one, which was a bummer because I just bought it this year. The same bookshop that I went to buy this one, I picked up that one, but that's okay. Sometimes that just happens. And then the other one I know I've talked about before, which was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. just not for me. I think I'm just not the audience. I'm too old. I'm elderly at 34. That book was just not going to be for me. Now, I can read young adult books. I can read books for kids. I love middle grade books. I love young adult books that are spooky, that are weird, that cover hard topics. But that one had like consent issues within the first like 20 pages, and that is not something I want to read about aimed at kids. So not a fan. If you enjoy it, please, by all means, continue to enjoy it and enjoy that series and tell me why you love it. I would love to know the good parts of those books. But yeah, it was just one of those that when I hit it, I was like, no, screw this guy. I'm not reading this. So I got rid of that one. I have too many other books on my radar to spend time on a book that I'm not immediately loving. But those are kind of my updates as of right now. The only things that we really have planned for the end of the month is like trying to get another bike ride in, going on runs, going to the gym. We have tickets to botanical gardens that are not terribly far from us, and I'm very excited about seeing them because every Christmas Eve for the last 2 years, and hopefully foreseeable future, we get tickets to go walk through these botanical gardens, and we take hot chocolate and we listen to A Christmas Carol narrated by Tim Curry on audiobook on the drive there and back. And the botanical gardens get decorated for Christmas with like thousands and thousands of lights, and they have food there. You can get like huge German pretzels and pizza and all kinds of crap, and we just have a bomb ass time doing it. It's so cozy. Christmas is our favorite time of year. I mean, I'm a Halloween stan. Like, I absolutely love all things spooky. I used to have my apartment completely decorated, like my dorm room, my bedroom as a teenager, my apartment in college, completely decorated for Halloween year round. If you kind of take a look at the stuff that I keep around, it leans spooky, but my husband is a massive fan of Christmas, and being with him for 16 years means that I'm a big fan of Christmas because I know how much it means to him, and we've had some really, really great Christmases over the years. Like, he asked me to marry him on Christmas Day, and so it's one of my favorite things. That's why I was watching a Jen Campbell video from Christmas time to relax me. But yeah, around Christmas season, we do the botanical gardens, their Christmas thing. And then we do as many Christmas villages around us as we can. One of our like life goals is to go to Germany and be in the actual Christmas villages for German Christmas, which would just be incredible. But I don't know when that will happen, but that's like a future life goal. How did I get on that topic? Talking about the botanical gardens. That's how. Yeah, so we have that coming up. Memorial Day is coming up, so we have a 3-day weekend, which will be lovely. And we just typically, like, on the summer holidays, I used to go to family picnics and family gatherings, and as I've gotten older, I don't really have a great relationship with a lot of my family, so I don't typically go see them that often, but my husband and I love to do stuff. So typically for like 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, things like that, we will try to go on a hike early in the morning or like a long bike ride early in the morning, primarily because we go to trails that have parks and they get super packed those days unless it's pouring, because people love going to parks for picnics, which is lovely. We try to make the day about us and spending time in nature. And so I don't know what we're going to do this weekend. It might rain again, so we'll see what we end up doing, but very excited to just have a couple of days off. Maybe we'll go see, well, he wants to go see Thunderbolts. I don't really care. I'll see it when it comes to streaming. I am interested in the new Mission Impossible, but it's almost 3 hours long. Can Tom Cruise not? Like, I am very much like a 90 minutes or shorter horror movie kind of person. It drives me, I have to be in like a super focused mood to be willing to sit down and watch a movie that's over 90 minutes. And my husband gives me shit about that all the time because he is very much like a long drawn out movie kind of person. And I'm like, wrap it up. I gotta move on to the next thing. But I don't know. Yeah, so I'll just like try to take you guys along as doing stuff throughout the week. My life is not terribly exciting. I'm a remote worker. I have a dog. I make us dinner. I go to the gym and I read. That's kind of it for right now. I'm not really playing any video games. I've been in the mood to play a lot of video games, but I don't have the attention span right now to play them. Just kind of hanging out. I see another book on my shelf I really want to start, even though I've started a bunch of other ones. We'll see how this goes. I owe you an update. It's been a couple days. I have finished a few books. Let me grab them. The book that I am currently reading right now, and making progress in all day, is Greenwild by Perry Thompson. I'm having a great time with this one. It is so cozy. It's so much fun. And I am just over halfway through. This is a middle grade, and it has a lot to do with plant magic, and it's lovely. I'm so happy that there are more in this series, because I will definitely be continuing on. I also then earlier read 2 more short stories in Death in Midsummer by Yukiya Mishima, and really enjoyed both of them. They were so weird, but I'm just having a great time. So maybe I read 3 stories. I think I read 3 stories, not 2. So there are 10 stories in here. I think I've read 4 of them. Yeah, that sounds right. So I am not quite halfway yet, but we'll be continuing to make progress to get this one done this month. Yesterday, all day long, I read Spineless by Samantha San Miguel and freaking loved it. It was so cute. So this one is about Algie, who is 12, I think. Yeah, he's 12. And this takes place in the early 1900s, or like about to be the 1900s. And he has an older brother, Everett, and they live with their mom. And they're from the north of the United States, but Algie has really, really bad asthma. And so they move to South Florida, where the climate is very humid, to help him with his asthma. But there's also a worry that he might have tuberculosis because their dad died of tuberculosis. So that's always a concern. But Algie really just wants to be a naturalist, and he gets into a bunch of shenanigans with 2 girls that are his age that he meets when they move to South Florida. And this one was lovely. I had a great time with this one. The only thing was that there was a very, very violent, graphic scene at the end that I told my husband yesterday. Like, I got to that part and I was like, I need to read you something. And he was like, what? And I read it and explained it to him, and he was like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. This book was not that violent until the very end, where there was a scene that I was like, why would you put that in a kid's book? But anyway, I really enjoyed that one. And I know that there are, I think, 2 more. And then the day before that, I sat and read this entire thing. So I read Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. Also the start of a couple books that I think are related or a series. This one was wonderful. This was another middle grade. I'm trying to read all the middle grade that I bought specifically to read in May and just didn't get to yet. But this one is about Min Lee, who lives in a valley of Fruitless Mountain with her parents, and they're very, very impoverished, and her father always tells her all of these stories. And one of the stories that he tells her is about the old man in the moon, and how you can ask him to answer a question for you. And so she decides that she's tired of her parents being unhappy and living in poverty, and so she's going to go find the man in the moon and ask him how to change their future so that they can not be in poverty. And you're following her as she is trying to find the man in the moon, and it was wonderful. I had such a great time with that one. I am so happy I read it. My arms keep getting tired. And before I finished that, or before I read that one, I read this one, which is a short story collection by Ling Ma. This one is Bliss Montage, and I read all of the stories except for the last one. I really, really enjoyed a lot of the stories. I thought they were great, but the last one was too much. So it starts off by talking about a woman who lives in the United States in what just felt like not... It was supposed to be kind of dystopian, but it was like too close to what's happening in the United States right now. And I was like, I don't want to read that. And then as I continued on to like the next page, just to decide for sure, you find out that she's pregnant and the baby's arm starts coming out, and the doctors are just like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, nope, I'm not in the mood for this. I don't want to read this. So I didn't read the final story in this one, but I did read all of the other ones, and I really, really enjoyed it. I've heard amazing things about Severance, which is her full-length novel, and I have that, so I do want to read that. But I'm trying so hard to finish up the books that I've already started, or the books that I specifically put on my May TBR, because I wasn't going to stick to my May TBR, but now I think that I'm going to try to. So I also have, I'll show you on the floor right there, ignore my piles. That's my dog in her bed under a blanket because it's been cold and rainy. That's my pillow stash that I have. That Barnes & Noble tote bag is all library books. That's a tote bag of Christmas presents from my sister. I'm trying to point to this right here. These books right there. Those are all books that I've either started or planned on reading in May. And so I've just been pulling from that pile to get books read. I'm thankful that I have been getting some of them read. So my pile on my desk of my finished books is growing. So I'll have hopefully a decent April and May wrap up. I didn't do a wrap up for April, so I think I'm just going to end up doing a bigger one for April and May, and then do a wrap up at the end of the summer, depending on how many books I read. I'm really in the mood to read a classic right now, but the one that I want to pick up, I ordered off eBay because I wanted the specific version of it, and that was like 4 days ago, and I just got the tracking today, and all that the tracking says is that we've received a tracking code. I'm like, that's not helpful. So I don't know when that one will get here, but I'm really in the mood for some classics. But I don't want to go buy anymore. I don't own that many classics anymore that I haven't read already, except for all of Charles Dickens. I've only read like 2 or 3 of his books. But I don't know. It's been so cozy today because it's been pouring. It is 48 degrees outside, Fahrenheit, which is very chilly for the end of May, but it's been pouring, and so I have been in a hoodie with a blanket. Zoe has been under a blanket sleeping all day, and I've just been watching old Lauren and Jen Christmas vlogs and feeling very cozy. It's been wonderful. But that's it for my update, so I'll come back in a couple days and let you know how my reading's going. I owe another update now. This is really just going to be a pretty boring video, I think. It is now the 28th. Yesterday I filmed yesterday, but I posted today, I think, my June TBR. I have so many books that I need to put away, but I'm waiting on 4 more to get delivered today, and then after that, 2 more to come through. But I think once the 4 that I'm waiting on today arrive, I will just film my book haul and just insert photos of the other 2 that I am waiting on. But I've gotten a bunch of reading done, so I need to show you guys. This morning I finished Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This is the second book in the Amari series. I forget what the actual series is called, but the first book was Amari and the Night Brothers, and I freaking loved it, so I really wanted to continue on. There have now been 3 books published, and I saw on B.B. Alston's website that there will be 5 maybe total. I don't know how long this is going to be. It just says books 4 and 5 will be coming. So now that I've read book 2, I'm very excited to get to book 3, but I don't have that one yet. I also finished My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I ended up really enjoying this one. It completely ended on a cliffhanger, and I don't really have any intentions of reading the other books in this series, which is, I think, the Neapolitan Quartet. I just wanted to read this one, and I'm so happy that I did because I did really enjoy it. It's so messed up in so many ways, but I just thought it was fun. And then I also read The Ladies of Grace Adieu and Other Stories by Susanna Clarke. This is the final Susanna Clarke that I had on my list to read. I have now read everything that she's published in terms of like mainstream publishing. Super bummed, but also super happy that I have read all of her stuff. That has a short story in it from the world of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is the book that I think she's most known for besides Piranesi, which came out a couple years ago. But I really enjoyed that one. Just very whimsical, like lots and lots of stories about fairies and such. And then the final book that I have finished is Greenwild Book 1 by Perry Thompson. And I purchased book 2 so that I can read that one. Oops, sorry. I started another book this morning, and that one is The Wand Keepers, Book 1, A Sky Full of Dragons by Tiffany McDaniel. This is another middle grade. I have a stack of middle grade from my May TBR that I'm trying my hardest to plow through in the next couple days so that my TBR from May will roll into my just existing TBR, but hopefully not that many books will roll over because right now, how many did I have on my May TBR? I think 14. And I have, where the hell is it? Yeah, I had 14 books on my May TBR, 2 books left over from April, and I have finished 3. So not great, but I'm trying really hard to knock out the middle grade if I can. But I'm also in the mood to start another one, so we will see what I end up doing. Today, I'm just wrapping up work. I have therapy in a little bit, and then we're just gonna hang out for the rest of the night. We started watching The Good Place. My husband has watched the entirety of the series in the past, and he really, really loved it and thought that I would really enjoy it. And I am very much enjoying it. We binged season 1 over the weekend. They're only like 20 minutes per episode. They're super duper fun. I think it's on Netflix. So we've been watching that. And that's probably honestly what we're going to do for the rest of the night. He's also been finishing up a replay of Death Stranding because the second Death Stranding game comes out very soon. So while he's playing video games, I sit on the couch next to him and cuddle Zoe and read. So that's how I've been able to finish so many books, is that this is like all I'm doing. I work, I go for a run, and then I read. And that's really all I've been doing. But I'm having a great time with it. So it's the 28th. Let's see how many more books I can get finished from my TBR by the end of May. Okay, so it is now Thursday. I hate when we have 4-day work weeks. I mean, I love them because 3-day weekends, but I also kind of hate them because it just throws off my whole schedule for the rest of the week. I was talking to my supervisor yesterday and I was like, 4-day work weeks always feel so long compared to 5-day because you just are not getting like a head start on things. But I did a bunch of reading last night. My husband, like I said, has been playing Death Stranding, and so I've just been vibing and getting reading done. I started yesterday a couple books because of course I did. My husband has been begging me to read the next book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, so I did start that. Book 3, I'll put a picture here because it's on the shelf. The Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, not the Abolitionist, the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. So I've heard from my husband that book 3 is a little bit slow compared to books 1 and 2, but then it really kicks off in book 4. So I just have to kind of make it through book 3. So far, I'm enjoying it. This one starts, if you've never heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's becoming more popular on BookTube and in the world. It's a fantasy series kind of based on Dungeons and Dragons type vibe because he's a dungeon crawler. At the beginning of the first book, Carl is standing outside. He's trying to get the cat that he's pet sitting to pay attention, and all of the buildings around him collapse, and anyone that was in those buildings dies. And then there is this like life form that starts talking to him, and it's talking to everyone. It's a big announcement all across the world, and it's basically saying like, hey, you guys suck and we're taking back the earth because it's our property and we were like leasing it to you guys and you're not doing a great job, so we're taking it back, and we are going to make dungeons, and you have like a certain amount of hours to go into the dungeon if you would like to partake of this dungeon crawler experience. And Carl's like, okay, guess I'm doing this. So him and the cat go underground to the first level of the dungeon, and then you're just, for every book, following Carl as he meets up with other survivors that are in the dungeons, and he is battling monsters and getting skill points and choosing like a class type and all of that stuff. Super duper fun, very quirky, very heartfelt at times. There are some pieces of the first book that I didn't love. Some of the language that the author uses, some of the jokes are kind of like at the expense of other people, and I really don't love that, but my husband was like, please try to ignore that and just keep going. So I've been doing that. I've been trying to chill because I am a very critical person, very critical reader, very critical media absorber, in that I'm very, not critical as in like mean, critical as in like I'm very aware of how people are talked about and how subjects are talked about. And so there are some books and some movies and some even music and stuff that I just am not gonna vibe with if it's not handling things in a respectful way. And so there were just a couple comments. It wasn't like massive, over the top. Like they took me out of the book in the moment, but I just ignored it and kept going. And book 2, as far as I remember, was pretty okay. And then so far book 3 has been fine. I'm up to, I think, the 5th or 6th chapter. I can't remember. It's like the 5th or 6th. I'm reading it on my Kindle because they're free on Kindle Unlimited. But we do have hardback versions of all of them on the shelf because it's my husband's favorite book series now. So I did start that one. But last night when I was sitting on the couch reading, I left this book upstairs because I took with me downstairs a book that I bought earlier this year called Your Absence is Darkness by an Icelandic author, and it's translated from Icelandic. And I wanted to give it a go because I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was like, if you're thinking about it a lot, just pick it up and see how it goes. And it had all of these like amazing quotes on it, and people said it was wonderful and it was this great book, and I just did not vibe with it. So I read the first like 35 pages and I was just falling asleep sitting there reading it. I just wasn't into it. The biggest issue I have with it is that there are no quotation marks around like talking, around dialogue. And that was driving me absolutely nuts because there's a lot of talking between the different characters. And I kept having to like, I was reading and then I was like, oh shit, they're talking. So then I had to go back up and read it again from the lens of someone talking instead of just the narrator like narrating what's going on. And so it just kept taking me out of it and I was just getting pissed off. Then I was like, I don't know why this is a style choice. I don't like it. Stop doing this. But it's also the story of like multiple different people, and so one of the people, someone that wakes up from like, he has amnesia and he wakes up in a church and he doesn't know his name, he doesn't know who anyone around him is, and so you're just kind of following him as he meets this woman outside, and she's like, oh my god, I'm so happy to see you, and he's trying to figure out like, how do I get her to tell me what my name is without letting her know. And then it follows like some other characters, and all of their stories are interwoven, and I wanted to enjoy it, but I was just not having a good time with it because of the dialogue problem. And so I decided that I DNF'd it. I'm gonna get rid of that book. So that knocks a book off of my books that I purchased so far this year. So I can get rid of that one. But then I was like, oh, okay, well, I want to go back to reading this one, but the only ebook copy that my library has was checked out. And so I went through my list of May TBR books and grabbed the first one that my library has an ebook copy so that I could read it on my Kindle when I was downstairs. And that's this one, which is Midsummer's Mayhem by Rajani LaRocca. And this one is about a little girl who has 3 older siblings that are basically perfect in every possible way. And she feels very left behind a lot of the time. She's 11 and her biggest hobby is baking. She absolutely loves baking. And one day she bake some stuff and she realizes that there's this cute little cafe that just opened up in her neighborhood. So she goes to check out this cafe and there's something off about it. Like the food is crap and the person working behind the counter only speaks in rhymes. And then she gives her dad, she's like so excited. She goes to this cafe to buy something for her dad who is coming home from a work trip. And she gives her dad something from the cafe and then he changes. And all of a sudden he's eating so much. Like there's a scene where the family is sitting down to dinner and the mom brings home pizza and the dad is like insatiable. Like he eats an entire pizza by himself. And this is so weird. And like she keeps noticing, what's the little girl's name? Mimi. Mimi keeps noticing that her dad is eating everything in sight, but it doesn't seem like anyone else is noticing that. And he's very off. Like he's very forgetful. He is asking questions that she answered like 2 minutes ago. And she also one day notices that there's something weird about his eyes. Like she thinks she sees purple in his eyes, but it goes away really fast. And she's like, did I actually see that? And so you're just kind of following her as she's getting ready to enter a baking competition, and things are weird in her life and she can't really put a finger on what's going on. Like her favorite recipe book goes missing and there's a bird in the neighborhood that all of a sudden is paying attention to her. And so it's very weird so far. I have a feeling that it's going to end up being fairies. I think it's going to be fairies because she starts hearing music playing from the woods and it's trying to like taunt her and bring her into the woods. I'm like, oh, that's fairies. Like that's gotta be what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna end up being. I've been reading so many fairy books lately and having a bomb ass time with it. So I'm very much enjoying this one. It's super fun. I love Mimi's character. I think she's wonderful. I will be reading that one and then also reading this one to knock off my May TBR. My plan for the rest of today, it's pretty early in the morning, but my plan for the rest of today is I have work, I have a meeting, I have a webinar this afternoon, and then we might go to the gym later, depends on how my husband's work day goes, if he feels up to it or not. If I don't go to the gym today, I will go tomorrow. I just want to get a ton of reading done, which is what I've been doing every day. I need to film my spring book haul part 2, which is going to take some time. So I have to go through and gather all of those books. Thankfully, on my list where I keep track of all of the books that I brought in this year, I did put a note of like where part 1 ended and part 2 will begin in terms of a book haul. So books that I need to grab. But yeah, my plans for today are just going to be to like keep it chill and get some reading done, do some work, hang out, figure out what we're going to have for dinner later because I don't know. I'm in the point again of my week where I want to start all the books. And my problem is I'm trying to finish books from my May TBR before I start books for my June TBR. And I have already started 2 books from my May TBR plus the Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I need to finish these, but I just want to read other things. Like I'm just in such a mood to start things and like see if things are going to be for me or if it's one that I'm going to unhaul. Like I just want the process to get going a little bit faster than what I'm capable of reading. I just want to start all of the things. But some books I am specifically holding off until June. One of the books from my May TBR I am holding off until June, and that one is going to be the middle grade Dear Mothman, because that one is a queer young adult middle grade, I don't remember the age group, story. And yeah, I just want that to be for June for Pride Month. And also I saw that it just won a Lammy Award, which is the Lambda Awards, which is awards for queer literature. So I'm super excited that I have a copy of it. I don't know what I want to do. I might pick up The Fell by Sarah Moss, which is a library book. Will that help my TBR? No. But it's a short book I got from the library, so why not give it a go? So maybe that is what I will do. I have a little bit of time until I go into a webinar for the next couple hours for work. And then once I'm wrapped up with work, we're either going to go to the gym or just hang out. I'm not sure yet. I would like to go to the gym, so maybe I'll go anyway if my husband doesn't want to go. It's nice when we go together, but it's fine if he doesn't want to go. I just want to finish so many books, and I would just want to start so many books, and I have a very busy brain today, and I just want to do all of the things. Okay, it is Friday and the 30th. Are there 31 days? Yes, okay. There's 31 days in May. I have time. I need to finish Midsummer Mayhem as quickly as I can. I'm really enjoying it. My bookmark needs to be moved because I read more of it last night. And then I've started this one, so I need to read this one as well. And then I really want to finish up Death in Midsummer. This is one that I have been reading the short stories, and I don't want to take this into June. Can I finish 3 books by the end of tomorrow? I'm gonna friggin' try. I also have book mail. I actually have 2. I know what both of them are. I just don't know which one is which. So let us see. Okay, perfect. So this one is The Light Years by Elizabeth Jane Howard. This is the first book in the Cazalet Chronicles, which is not something that I would have ever picked up on my own, but Lauren from Lauren in the Books absolutely loves this series, and I decided that I wanted to give it a chance. I love spending time in the same universe. Often the books that take me the longest to read, the biggest books on my shelves, are the ones that I remember much longer because I just spent so much time in them, like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which was massive, and the same with The Crimson Petal and the White by Michelle Faber. Was that a book that I loved? No. I enjoyed the process of reading it. I still think about it a lot. I kind of thought the ending sucked a little bit, but I did enjoy like the process of being just immersed in a massive book for a really long time. These books are probably not even like as big as I'm assuming that they are. Yeah, this one is less than 600 pages. I've read 1,000-page books before. I don't read them that often, but I am very excited to get into that one. And then another one, this one I'm so excited for. Let's see if I can break into it. This one's not nearly as long. So this one is called Moving Mountains, Writing Nature Through Illness and Disability, edited by Louise Kenward with a foreword from Samantha Walton. This one is a collection of writing about nature, all from authors that have disabilities. And this is something that I mentioned when I did my book haul. I don't know if this is going to go up before that, probably though, because this will be shorter. I spend a lot of time in nature throughout the warmer months. My husband and I go hiking. We have bikes that we take on trails. And I'm a runner, so I run outside on trails. And being in nature is such a huge part of my life. And this is something I've thought about over the last couple years, is like on one of the trails that we really enjoy, we've done this one hike like 10 times, but there's a sign on one of the trees at one of the entrances, because there's multiple entrances for trails, and it says something about like trying to be inclusive and like this is a space for everyone. And I was like, that's amazing. I love that. That's totally not true though, because while it should be a place for everyone, being in nature is not necessarily a safe environment. It's not necessarily something that people are able to enjoy across the board. You need to be able to get to those locations. You need to be able to have like a basic understanding of what plants to avoid and like safety, like basic safety things of like, how do you keep yourself safe in the woods? What things do you need to have with you? So you need to have money in order to access some of the things. Like we've put some decent amount of money into our hiking gear and our biking gear and my running gear and all of that over the years. And if we didn't have disposable income, we wouldn't be able to do that. Sure, you can go hiking, you can, you know, find a bike that someone's getting rid of, you can go running with just what you have, but your experience will be very different from the people that have disposable income in order to get the things that kind of enhance that experience, like water bladders and hiking packs and, you know, hiking poles and good shoes, good boots, things like that. Also, that some of the trails are very, very tiny and they're uneven, and some of them you have to climb. Like we don't do any of the scrabbling hikes, which is where the rocks can move as you're hiking. We do like medium level hikes, which typically medium is just where like it's a longer hike. It might be a little bit intensive at times, but you're not scrambling, you're not you don't need like actual like climbing gear. We don't do any of those kind of intensity hikes. But even the hikes that we do, there's sometimes stairs built into like the side of a mountain. You need to be able to safely get up those stairs. You need to have good balance. So I just find it such a wonderful thing to be in nature. It's very, very healing. We enjoy it a lot, but I definitely want to learn more about how do we make these things available to everyone. Also, that's, you know, we're talking about people that have disabilities here, but also like people that aren't white might not feel safe in the middle of the woods when there's giant signs everywhere that you should be wearing bright colors because there's hunters. Like, let's be real. We live in the United States. Let's be real. And so I'm very intrigued by learning more about nature, by reading more nature writing and about people's experiences with it. So I thought this would be a fun place to start. So I got these two books, which will both be on my June TBR, along with everything else that I own. But my plan is to try to finish up these 3 books by the end of tomorrow so that I can go into June with a, you know, already behind where I expected, or not where I expected, where I hoped to be in terms of books, because these are not all of the ones obviously that I've started. Of course not. Who are we talking about here? But I want to make progress on all of these and get them off of my TBR. Okay, it is now June 2nd, so I need to finish up this vlog. I was able to finish up Death in Midsummer and Other Stories by Yukio Mishima, and also Midsummer Mayhem by Rajani DeLaRocca by the end of May. So both of those got marked off for my May TBR. Well, I mean, this one did. This one I started in May. Very, very happy with how the weekend ended up going. I did end up starting some other books because of course I did, and I have a stack like in my brain of books I want to start today, but I want to finish up this vlog so I can edit it and get it posted, because then I have to finish editing and post my book haul, and then I have another video that, well, potentially 2 videos that I need to film today. I don't have like excess space or like extra space to save videos, so I can really only edit and post one video at a time. Otherwise, the clips are just saved on my phone. All of that to say, that is it for this vlog. We finished up May. I need to do wrap-ups, but I'm happy with how my reading ended up going for the month. I finished a whole bunch of books, so I will count that as a win, even if I didn't finish my full, like, specific TBR. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know what books you read in May that you really enjoyed. What books are you excited to get to in June? And that is it. Thanks for watching.